Hello everyone, in today's topic we're going to explore a big volume of proofs that actually the giant race existed in our recent past. It appears the existence of the giants during biblical times is generally accepted by our society. But I'm not talking about Genesis 6:4 or David versus Goliath. I'm talking about the race of giants who possibly existed 200 to 400 years ago. The topic is clearly controversial and entirely not supported by the so-called scientific evidence. There are multiple possible signs of the giants' existence in the very recent past. At the same time, based on our dogmatic education and knowledge, there could be no giants. Any suspected evidence of the existence of such a race is either ridiculed or proclaimed fake. Sometimes this possible evidence is being used by us in widely accepted but nevertheless oxymoronic ways. There are multiple documented accounts of famous and respected people coming into contact with the giants. One of these people was Amerigo Vespucci. In 1499, his expedition landed on the island of Curacao. Vespucci told of natives that appeared to be giants. His account was depicted in the below engravings. In 1520, the explorer Fernando Magellan spent the winter in Patagonia. According to the story told by Magellan's chronicler Antonio Pigafetta, the natives they encountered were extremely tall. Pigafetta estimated they stood between 9 and 12 feet. 100 years after Magellan, Sir Francis Drake's chronicler confirmed Pigafetta's account, but reduced the giant size down to a mere 7.5 feet. A couple of the 17th century engravings down below. And there are many more. Of course, such accounts are being treated as gross exaggeration. Somehow, the scientists of today know better than the actual people who experienced those events. Let's explore some possible evidence of today. One might ask where the evidence of their existence would be, besides those drawings. Well, all over the place. Buildings. One of the most obvious possible pieces of evidence is what I call "they don't build like that any longer" architecture. There was an open season on the cities of this world in the 19th and the early 20th centuries. Whether the inhabitants or the architecture were the target, I don't know. At the same time, quite a few of those buildings are still out there. They all share common features: 13, 15-foot floor plans, humongous doorways, and funky name architectural styles. Sometimes they have one regular-sized floor included in the floor plan. Guess why that is? They're often broken into two distinctive parts, like in the attachment below. Bottom two stories are different. They have bizarre stonework, symbolism in predetermined locations. They were built when both human equipment and material resources were supposed to be limited. They were built by the thousands or tens of thousands at a time. There is no documentation or material evidence in support of their construction other than some questionable assigned architect and or company. It's impossible to find out what brick factories produced quadrillions of ultra-high quality bricks. It is unknown what window factories produce tens of millions of regular as well as rounded and circular windows. These buildings do not have a paper trail. And what is the most important? These buildings are not cost-effective today, nor were they cost-effective back then. One of those structures out of thousands in the Holyoke building in Seattle. Its first floor is 16 feet high, its second 13 feet. It was supposedly built in 1889-90s, but you will not find any documented proof. It's one of the easy buildings to look into. You can pick any local building matching the criteria and try for yourself. Weapons. Once again, it depends on how much one wants to find a convenient interpretation to fit the below information within his or her reality. Obviously, what it looks like is one thing. How we explain is totally different. Firearms. Here are some pictures of the enormous-sized rifles. There were some attempts to explain those as duck hunting boat-mounted fragmentation-type weapons, and additional interpretations suggested that they are a two-person crew-type weapon. The last claim suggests that these rifles are decorative in nature and are some sort of souvenirs. I really doubt so. They just look like arms used by enormous people. It is obvious that a weapon of this size is not practicable for a normal-sized human. In the first picture above, you can see a gentleman with two different sizes of rifles. Only one of those is made for a normal-sized human. In the image below, you can see what a duck hunting boat-mounted weapon looks like. Well, that's just totally different. The ones below are not meant to be boat-mounted duck hunting rifles. Below are examples of regular hand-held duck hunting shotguns. It is also important to know that there are bigger size weapons used by regular sized people, and below once again you can see a few examples of those. Paying attention to the pistol grips above, we notice that they are made for a normal-sized human hand. So is the buttstock. Now take a look below. Compare the trigger size and picture that removed buttstock. The weapon on the left clearly was not made for a regular-sized human. In the image below, you can see the bore rifling. No reason to have your weapon rifled to shotgun type rounds, I think. Today, some huge pistols, machine guns, and rifles are made to scale for true decorative, record-setting, and special customer request purpose. I highly doubt this philosophy can be applied to the giant weapons presented above. Bladed weapons. Here we have some pictures of the ridiculous-sized swords. Officially, they are being called double grip, a grip and a half, sliding grip, and all other sorts of names. Some are conveniently decorative or ritualistic. These swords are displayed in great numbers throughout multiple museums of the world. In some pictures, the contrast between regular-sized swords and these giant ones is enormous. Of course, for some individual it is possible to swing one of the below swords. That would definitely provide an extended range, but I have this feeling that a normal human with a knife can run circles around similar size man trying to swing one of these enormous swords. Additionally, looking at some of the presented weapons, this double grip technique should probably be upgraded to a quadruple one. Books. Sure enough, books are opened for interpretation as well. Could they be used by regular-sized people? Of course they could. This is about what the official explanation sounds like. It definitely makes a lot of sense to produce a book requiring a 4-man carry to move it. When explanations are force limited to dogma, there is no other way to interpret what you see. Then again, we all have a choice. And yes, today we do make huge books. They are made for specific purposes in advance. For some reason, when handling these specially made contemporary books, white gloves are not required. Musical instruments. They are also available for interpretation. Here we have an instrument called octobus. Wikipedia says it is extremely large, up to 11 feet, and rare. There are only 7 in existence. Go figure why. I personally think giants enjoyed music too. Of course, a giant person would not need a special device to engage these strings, nor would a giant need a chair to reach it. But our mankind is creative, and we figured out a way or two on how to overcome size limitation of our regular human body. I think that guy is the second picture is holding 2 huge flute-like instruments, but I'm not sure. A few bonus giant-related images follow. It was not as uncommon back then. Thank you for your time. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments down below. This really helps to push these videos to more people that are asking questions.